How to detect fake agile. Today's 5 minute short. Hi, I'm Joshua Barnes, and I am joined by Al Shalloway. And we thought that we would get this particular 5 minute short going by reading an excerpt from something that was cleared for open publication from the United States federal government back on October 9th of 2018. And it is a guide that is called Detecting Agile BS. I kid you not, that's what it is actually titled and published as. So the opening is Agile is a buzzword of software development. And so all Department of Defense software development projects are almost by default now declared to be, quote, Agile. The purpose of this document is to provide guidance to DoD program executives and acquisition professionals on how to detect software projects that are really using Agile development versus those that are simply waterfall development in Agile clothing, also known as Agile Scrumfall. So this is a problem that's clearly been around for a long time. And, when we've got our government that publishes something, from years ago, I'd say that's to the point where it's pretty well recognized. So Al, I know we've both got some things that we'll share as far as how we would detect fake Agile. So what are some of your leading ones?
Well, some easy ones are you already mentioned, like Scrum or Fall, short increments but you're doing analysis, design, code, and test. I sometimes see people not having what they're doing exposed. Well, they want to keep it close to the vest. That's not a kind of collaboration, Actually, something I heard 20 years ago at a client was they were doing XP because they weren't doing documentation. So that was fake XP. So yeah, we do XP. We don't document anything. Of course, they didn't do any of the XP practices. Or like, well, we need to be flexible. So let's start by building a framework. That would be not good Agile. Or we'll get started as soon as we know what the customer wants.
And we have it all written down in deep detail.
Yeah. The more detailed, the better. Yeah. So why don't you give a couple, and then I'll come back. I got two other areas to talk about fake Agile. Actually, I've been thinking about this.
Yeah, one of the things is when you ask about demonstrable progress, like let's see something that you've got that's working, or how about the feedback you're getting? And there's no feedback, or we're not going to do UAT for another couple of months.
Yeah. Well, I think there's also fake Agile providers. Now, in my mind, if you are a provider and you say whatever you're doing works everywhere, I mean, this is to me a quick test is where does an approach work? There's no at least if it's a framework. There are universal approaches if you're going to adjust to the context. But if you have a framework that has preset practices or whatever, then where does it work best? Under what circumstances does this work best? Otherwise, you don't really know if it's going to work for you. And the whole idea is, people over process. So are you attending to the people? That would be an important thing.
Yeah.
And then, there's this other issue is, well, what's Agile in the first place? Because I guess I kind of hold a higher bar what Agile is than what the Agile Manifesto says. First of all, the Agile Manifesto is about software development, which is kind of ignored a lot. People say Agile is the Agile Manifesto, and then they ignore that the Agile Manifesto is all about software development. And then they say, well, Agile doesn't need software. Well, then you're not following the Agile Manifesto. There's a non sequitur we were talking about that I missed the other day when I gave you all those oxymoronic statements and said. But there's also, to me, Agile really needs to be focused about true value. So if you're outside of the team, if you're beyond the team and you're not paying attention to the value stream, then I'm saying you're doing fake Agile, because you got to attend to the value stream if you're talking about Agile, about delivery to the value, to the customer. Mm-hmm. So once you start looking at Agile as not so much what's in the Agile Manifesto, but what's been learned since, things like value stream management, better hierarchy, artifacts rather, for what value is. If you're building really big chunks, if you're building epic level things instead of like what's the smallest release, then that's fake Agile, because fake Agile is about quick delivery and stages. Yet most companies, MVPs again, this goes to the MVP, MBI thing, that they have the wrong artifact. You can't do real Agile. In fact, that's interesting. I never thought about that. I would say you can't do real Agile unless your things are either really small, maintenance items, or they're MVP type things where you're discovering, or you're doing MBI small business increments. Anything short of that's not real Agile, because you're building bigger things than you need, and small releases are one of the things said there. So Anyway, a variety of thoughts there.
Yeah, and one of the other things that I also see or look for is the very individual contributor type of mindset. Like, that's not my job. That's not my role.
Ah, very good. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, really nice.
yeah.
Yeah, Agile's
That's not
about the
real agile.
team and the customer, not the individual. How the individual contributes is important, but it's really about the
Yeah.
whole delivery and working together. That's really great.
Yeah. Yeah. So, some ways to consider detecting fake agile. Thanks for joining us live or watching this on replay. If you have any ways you like to detect fake agile, please share them on the post in LinkedIn, and we'll see you on our next 5-minute short.
Take care.